I know we're going to come back to David Foster, but here's an interesting question that sprang to mind. Was that partly a tribute to your mom, even if at a subliminal level, that you reached out to somebody like David?
Um, it could be. I'll be honest with you. I was not thinking about my mom at that point. I knew that I really admired what he was, doing with uh horn arrangements and stuff with the fire, and I wanted to capitalize on that. And that was just me reaching out. My mom at that point was still not convinced that
Okay.
music was for me,
Yeah.
and she, even as, I mean, it never stopped. Okay, Felton, you're having fun with this. When are you going to go get a real job, right? Yeah, man, that
Yeah.
never stopped.
I
But
can believe it.
she did appreciate the gold albums that I had hanging up on our wall. She did appreciate that.
Sure. Let's pick a song sort of from the middle time, those middle years, where you kind of felt like the group was in evolution and in a good way, and that the sound was either changing, not necessarily maturing, but that you had, as you stated, maybe taken sort of the best of the Memphis experience, we'll call it that, and sort of really taking it to that next level, even if it was with Skip or not. What might one of those songs you felt like, gosh, we're ready, we're really heading in a good way here?
Um, I'm actually going to point you to a song, and I can't even call it "we."
Okay.
That there was an artist that I had discovered
Mhm.
named Bobby Caldwell, and
Yes.
man,
Amazing.
his first album with "What You Want to Do for Love," man. I remember walking up and down a beach
Yeah.
uh, in Mobile, Gulf, Gulfport, Mixing, Mobile, down there. I
Sure.
spent the day listening to what this guy was doing with music, right?
Yeah.
Um, and often I would just sit down and just write a song, just be writing a song. And if ConFunkShun happened like it, fine, even better. Uh, but I fell in love with one of his songs called My Flame,
Mm.
if you're familiar with the song. And I
Mhm.
remember saying to myself, I need a song to kind of, I
Sure. And
like that groove. Let me just start with that groove.
makes a song great, or what makes a song a hit? You started talking about it in that I wrote things that I liked or that I was inspired by. It wasn't necessarily trying to write a hit. But over time, do you feel that there were certain elements that, gosh, we've got to include this, or this type of approach really helps us to really sort of seal a song and take it to another level where it really resonates with people?
I was told a long time ago that a good hook is worth 1,000 verses.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that has been my mantra ever, ever since, Um, I use myself as a good example. I hear a song for the first time, and if I can sing back any parts of that song still 15 minutes later,
Yeah.
hey, it, it resonates, Uh, that's been kind of the hallmark with me. Yeah, if I hear it for the first time, I can hell, if I can, if I feel the hook coming and I can sing along with the hook, and the song they've been is not even halfway over yet,
Sure.
that's a good indication there.
Sure.
And we had a chance to work with, oh my God, when we were at Stax, Mike
Yes.
Lewis and I worked as
Mhm.
studio musicians at Stax
Right.
Records. So for the songwriters who would come in, you know, we would be responsible for providing the rhythm section and sometimes the background vocals for their song demos, right? So we had a chance to work with hit makers like Carl Hampton and Homer Banks, who wrote "If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want It," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Sir Mac Rice uh, wrote "It's Cheaper to Keep Her," right? Uh, I was in there working with playing on the same organ as that Booker T was playing in the Studio A, and working with the Barcades producer's name
Yeah.
was Alan Jones.
Mhm.
Man, Alan was a genius in the studio at putting together catchy songs, songs that are easy to sing along with, and that's that kind of stuff just stuck with me. So when I was saying I wasn't necessarily writing them for ConFunkShun,
Mhm.
I'm not saying I wasn't trying to make a hit. No, whenever I'm sitting down writing, I'm the first thing I'm looking for is sing along ability. That's
I
that's
see.
that's that's the first thing I'm looking for. Um, and at that point, my goal was just to sit down and write a good song with a catchy hook. And if ConFunkShun happened to like it,
Okay.
great. Um, they, they did. It wound up being obviously very, very fortunate for me that Michael's stuff, my stuff, or Michael and my stuff as a unit
Right.
just seemed to fit the ConFunkShun image. Uh, that team has worked successfully for all these decades.
Sure. If you could distill some pearls, because I think every family, every couple, every relationship, and certainly bands face challenges as time goes by, as success comes, and as they grow. What might be some of those pearls that you feel you've learned that groups have to kind of realize if they're going to really make it through the test of time?
First and foremost, it's called the music business for a reason. for, for,
Always about friendship, always about fun, not always about music.
for it's called it is not the music fun, it's not the music emotion, it is called the
Yeah.
music business.
Yes.
Uh, Record companies are about selling records. They don't give about what you're feeling.
Right.
I was feeling this emotion out there. Oh yeah, we don't care. All we care is if you can sell records, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it becomes, I'll just say, important to understand. If you're just diving in, you need to understand the business. I'm not saying you got to go to law school, but understand how to read a contract, what it
Mhm.
means, all those kind of things. That's how you keep to help safeguard against you getting ripped off.
Yeah.
Um, just to know where your income, assuming that you're in it to make some income,
Yeah.
where that's coming from, and how that's happening. Make sure that you're clear on that.
Sure.
Um, Perfect your craft.
Yes.
Perfect your craft. Be able to. It could be just me. It might be just me. But if you are totally dependent on any anything artificial to make
Mm.
your
Mhm.
sound,
Right.
um, this might not be for you. No, okay. Now, I'm not talking about, for instance, Roger Troutman and
Right.
his use of the talk box, right?
Do that.
But
Mhm.
Homeboy was extremely talented,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right.
Amazing player. Yeah.
Uh, uh, Guitar, drums, keyboards, just
Right. All of it.
the whole package, right? And he was using that to do things that he couldn't be expected to do.
Right.
You
Right.
know, yeah, yeah. There's things that you know that you couldn't be expected to, but on the other hand, he was able to take that on stage with him, and that
Yeah.
became part of his performance, right?
Right.
Um, I've seen a recording artist,
Mhm.
major recording artist, attempt to use AutoTune
Yeah.
on his voice during a
Right.
live performance on TV, failed miserably.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Not.
and I'm just, I'm just saying, if if you know, if that's all you got to go on, yeah, if that's your, if you run trick pony, that's your one trick, this
Right.
might not work. You know, odds are good
Right.
that this ain't gonna work out for you.
Right. Right. Put in the work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Perfect. On the business side, one of those elements, it seems too, is just so we can, without having to give all the details away, but or overshare, really understanding that while you may have a group, if you're talking about somebody that found a group, other people that did writing, have producer credits and things like that, that may be very different than someone that may have joined the group more recently and may only be doing your particular part and may not have been involved in all the writing and the producing, the creative and the arranging and things of that nature. And so it may seem that it's 5 of us or whatever number, and we're all performing equally. But in reality, the creative process and things like that does allow certain credits and therefore income to be split depending on that
Right,
process, which not everybody has always participated in.
right. Well, that goes back again to me understanding the business. You know, there are. I'll use the Barcade as an example, right? That on several albums, that if you, the record credits show that everyone participated on the songs, right?
Right.
Well, having been, I would say, temporary honorary Barcades member, because I've played keyboards on at least one of their songs in the studio, right? And just got to sit in on several. Everyone participated. Everyone really did. Everyone had some lyrics to contribute. Had some ideas to do. I'll use the Roger Troutman scenario, who was pretty much able to do everything.
Yes.
that needed to be done,
Right.
and in the studio. And everyone just recognized, you know, it seemed to me, that everyone just recognized, okay, well, look, this is what needed to be done to get the record to sound good. Let's go back, going back to that. And that's just our vehicle for our live performances. You know, so, you know, I'm tripping up, but yeah, you're right. You mentioned that if there is one person doing more writing, they're likely to make. Did I say likely? Yeah. Yes, they're definitely gonna be making some money than it was. And if you read album credits, that one person has wrote all the songs. Yeah, he's definitely gonna be making. You know, expect that. So you know, if you're a group and you're saying, oh no, well, you know, I didn't know that was going to be happening. You know, well, that's your fault. You didn't read. You know, you know.
And what would you say when you sort of notice, let's say one's managing a group and it always seems that this is a, let's say, idea planted. We'll just put it that way, no matter where it may come from, an outside, a partner, or somebody's romantically involved with another person that's trying to work their way into becoming management. Might be a way for sort of younger artists and younger groups to appreciate from the get-go that these temptations, these challenges, and these forces are going to come to play to essentially, for all intents and purposes, dismantle the group ultimately, whether that's to direct intent or indirect intent. That is what will happen, and it is something that sort of almost has to be recognized, and the group has to be able to sort of stay focused around. Not really allowing so many of these external forces to splinter the group and pull them in different directions, despite the fact that temptation is great.
Right. Management is supposed to be a tool to get you from here to here, right? Just like in every business, there's some really reputable, highly reputable ones. There's some, I'll just say, less reputable, right? Piece of advice: if you're gonna hire a manager, sign your own checks. Yeah.
Right.
Always sign your own checks. You know, it takes more time.
That button.
But ideally, the manager is supposed to allow the artist the freedom to concentrate on their craft. You know, so the manager can handle the business things that are really time consuming. You know,
Yes.
people have asked me to manage them, and I'm like, no, that is a huge commitment of time that I can't, I can't. Right? It is a huge commitment of time, and they are an expense just like everything else. Um, Now, part of their job may be to advise you on how to spend your money.
Right.
In my mind, it shouldn't be spending your money for you. It should
Right.
be advising you on how you're supposed to be spending your money.
Right.
And I think anyone who is allowing someone else to spend their money for them is just opening themselves up for unpleasantness. That's a good word. You know.
Tell us about a song that you love when you feel like, gosh, this, I have to pinch myself. It just won't, it can't get better than this. This is just simply an amazing feeling and a euphoric experience. And I still love performing this song to this day.
That would be Got to Be Enough. Got to Be Enough is a song that Mike and I wrote for ConFunkShun. The group was okay with just the rhythm tracks, and we didn't have horns, so it was just a rhythm track. And you know, I brought Mike the music, and Mike and I had an idea for the first verse, and Mike finished the verse and came up with the hook. The song did not take real form until after we had put horns and strings on it.
Right.
And that's Earth, Wind & Fire playing it.
Yes.
The horns only got to be enough, right?
Right.
And the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra playing the strings, right? And so I was able to be at both sessions, right? And that, I was like, man, you know, now it's not our first time putting another horn section on material. We had done it on earlier songs, you know. But on this one specifically, I got a chance to watch this process, and just that, you know, and just because I'm an Earth, Wind & Fire fan, I was like, oh my God, these guys are playing off our record, you know. Half that excitement, however, went away when they gave me the sheet music afterwards. I was like, I'm supposed to play this, you know. But that, man, just having, you know, being aware of this happening on my record is different from me just it come back and I'm just hearing it.
Sure.
You know,
right.
The fact that I'm sitting here rug.
Mm-hmm.
That's been literally my pacifier, my thing to go to when I'm feeling down, or that's, you know, depressed, unhappy. That's, you know, I get a chance to go into my studio and work out my illnesses
Right.
through music, you know.
Right.
And that's again, it's been a blessing, you know, having music as my gift. It winds up not only being my gift to others, it's my gift to myself. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, that's why. Okay, I'm concerned about this, or I'm unhappy about this. Write a song about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's, I guess, one of the blessings of being able to have a studio on my home, right? Okay, I'll wake up before 30 minutes. Oh man, I've got this crazy idea. I'm down here, you know, working it out. You know, but yeah, the music has been, and it always worked. For instance, with my mother, I had moved back to Vallejo to help take care of her in some of her declining years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And literally, we would just spend some quiet time just sitting down, and I just listened to the radio.
Nice.
You know, and that was soothing for both of us.
Yes. Brought it full circle all over again.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
wonderful. Um, Everybody in their life and certainly in a career will face challenges. You don't make it 5 decades without some scars and things of that nature. What are those tips that you might get? Because we know they're going to come. They come in our lives, they come in our relationships, they come in our jobs, they come in our careers. That you feel you've learned that you'd pass on to some that maybe they're 35 years in or 26 years in, but it's gonna get rocky sometimes. What are some tips you might give to?
Uh, that that's a hard one because challenges come in different sizes, right? Um, One of my setbacks was the fact that my former employer basically stole from me $5.8 million. That that was a long time ago. Yeah, I'm still going to therapy about that. No,
Music
um,
and writing.
yeah, and it's hard coming back there. But I'll be honest with you, man. Part of my doing my first solo album was my medicine for responding to that. At some point, tr- trying to chase down my money. I had to file for bankruptcy, right? So I'm living in a cheap 2-bedroom apartment down in Los Angeles, and um, all my equipment was gone, and I literally had almost nothing. I had a little 8-track recorder, a little 8-track digital recorder, and I'd say half the songs on my first album were my attempt to heal from that. But I think you said it easily, man. Expect the setbacks. Uh, you can't prepare for all of them, but don't go into it rosy eye thinking, oh my God, everything's going to be perfect. I'm not saying it won't be.
Sure,
but
but
if you accept the fact that it is highly likely that it won't be, that they're going to be said, you'll be much better prepared for that.
right. And what might be a song off of your solo album that you feel is emblematic?
Ooh, I had a chance to work with one of my good friends, Janice Marie Johnson, from Taste of Honey. We've been good friends since the early '70s, right? And she lived in the Los Angeles area at that time, and she came over and sang a duet with me on my first solo album. It's called "Only for You," and I was very happy with that because, from an engineering standpoint, we managed to put 24 tracks of background vocals on an 8-track on an 8-track recorder. I mean, just from an engineering standpoint, the fact that we managed to get that done,
Right.
the managed to get that, and just using 8 tracks
Wow.
was just fun. And she's just a joy to work with, and it's been an honor having her as a friend for all this time. Yeah, so yeah, that would be a song called "Only for You."
Sure. Let's take a listen. So many pearls, so much wisdom that you've helped drop for us today that I simply love. And you've worked and written for some amazing artists as well, and helped manage a few. What are some of those key moments that you feel proud about and that you feel you did something different? You didn't take advantage of the artist.
Stanley Clark asked me to write him a song. Right. So after I've gotten over my, oh my God, Stanley Clark has asked me to write him a song,
Yeah.
I'm sitting down with the intent of writing something up tempo and funky, something for Stanley Clark, right?
Yeah.
So man, so I'm working on this jam, and yeah, and I'm working on the bass part, right?
Sure.
And halfway through the bass part, I had to stop.
Hmm.
I'm writing a bass part for Stanley Clarke. It's kind of like inviting Wolfgang Puck over for dinner.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I got a very nice compliment from the Honorable Mr. Stanley Clarke. Stanley Clarke used my bass part on the record.
Right. Right.
Yeah, he didn't even bother to replay it, man. He just rearranged it to fit his but and just did his bass solo. So I can honestly say I'm playing bass on a Stanley Clarke record.
Right.
But that was big for me. I had a chance to work back in the 80s. One of my first major projects when I first set up a recording studio was a blues artist named Jesse James.
Yes.
So I had a chance to do his first big record called I Can Do Bad by Myself. George Duke, I looked up and wrote the title track for one of his albums, a song called Dream On.
Yes.
Had a chance to write a song for the Stylistics called Keeping You to Your Promise. And I've had a chance to work with some absolutely wonderful producers, Preston Glass, Narada Michael Walden, um, um, MC Hammer was, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the biggie.
Sure.
And get a chance to not only produce his records but also go out on the road with him as music director. I do need to mention shout out to James Early who co-produced that album
Nice.
with me. James Early started off as my assistant engineer at my studio. Yeah, a local musician. I just happened to run into him. A talented young man, plays drums, bass, keyboards. Sing, write songs, and he wanted
Oh,
to learn about producing and engineering. I said, "Tell you what, man, I've got my studio. I leave here around 9, 10 o'clock. Why don't you show up around 9 o'clock? I'll give you the key,
sure.
and here's the manuals. Have at
Go.
it."
Wow.
uh, James learned everything in my studio, man, and
That's
like I said, start off being my second engineer, winding up helping write the songs for Hammer's first album. I did the tracks, and he and I worked together very closely for Hammer's first two big albums.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, it's been it's been a very blessed road. So and I'm still getting a chance to work, do what
Sure.
do what.
And yeah, and we've been the beneficiaries. What are some sort of parting thoughts for that young artist coming today? And they're just, maybe their name isn't Felton, but they have these dreams and these hopes and aspirations as well. And you're looking over a collective body of experiences that so many would love to have, only few can, and the ability to work with so many other artists as well. Um, and you might say to them,
Wow, I'm almost 70 years old,
don't lie
and
now. They might
I
check on this.
no no my next birthday I'm gonna be 70 years old, and I expressed it in a song that I released 2 years ago called "We're Still Here." I'm I'm still here at 70.
Mhm.
I've been able to live and work my dream.
Yes.
And I would have to say partially because there was a famous guy, he said, I can teach you how to play chess in about 20 minutes, but you'll spend the rest of your life mastering it.
Mm.
Every day, I spend the first 20, 30 minutes of my every single day learning something.
Mm, I like that.
Every single day. Man, there is so much stuff
Sure.
to learn out there here. I'm kind of like a one-stop shopping guy. Like my own studio, I can I can do everything that needs to be done on a record. But as far as engineering and producing and songwriting, man, don't stop growing. You can't. You can't. That has worked out for me wonderfully. You know, yeah. The
Sure.
young folks, this could be you at 70. Okay,
Yeah.
this could be you at 70. But you got to keep growing. Got to keep growing. Keep moving forward.
Sure. Our love and appreciation is boundless. It just is endless for all that you've given to enrich our lives. Tell us about some of the appreciation you have, if we go out on this note of you
Oh
really being
man.
appreciated by some of the young kids today, and some of the stuff that Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak have done with Silk Sonic.
Speaking of Bruno Mars and Silk Sonic, that they went back and recorded a song that is 40 years old.
Yes.
That's a bright light, because when I think back to in my high school days, I would not have appreciated a song from 40 years prior to that, right?
Yes. Exactly.
And thanks to Silk Sonic, and they're doing something wonderful with music that I really appreciate. They're pointing out to a whole new audience, look, this is good music, despite the fact that it's 40.
Yes,
It's 40 years
exactly.
old.
That's just the
It
coin.
it speaks to the word timeless, or longevity. I mean, there's a reason why Lionel Richie's "Endless Love" is still
Yes.
the number one wedding song, right? You know,
Right.
and the fact that Silk Sonic is saying, look, there was a time in music when you'd hear these elements, when you'd hear these kind of chords, when you'd hear these kind of background harmonies, and when you hear this specific kind of music. And by the way, we're still can talk about love in a respectful manner. Right?
Yes. Thank you.
They're saying this, hey folks, this is still cool. They're reminding today's music, all this stuff is still cool, and that's a lot to be grateful for. You know,
Yeah.
so not so I'm being grateful, not just for me because it's my song,
Sure.
but just that fact that they're calling attention. Hey, look, folks, this sound.
Yeah.
This sound right here is still cool. Don't overlook this. So I have to be especially grateful to Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak, Silk Sonic, and to all those who came before me. A profound thank you for the Sly Stones and the George Clintons, and the Kool and the Gangs,
Yeah.
and the Barcades and our co-workers, Cameo,
Yeah.
for everything that because every single musician is a collection of stuff that they've heard, right?
Yes. Exactly.
And I just want to thank everyone who's been able to contribute to this jumble of stuff going on here. And thank you so much. You know, that's for all that I've been given. I'm so grateful for that.
Absolutely. And likewise, our thanks is sincere and heartfelt. We feel like it's not only our duty and obligation, but a pleasure to be able to really take the time, sit down with you. You've been so gracious with your time tonight, and really walk through that understand, learn. You have so much to help us grow from, and the bottom line is that we can't if we don't really appreciate what others have been through before us. And like you said, also just even with the music itself, just really appreciating, as you did, you studied the artists of
Yeah.
your day, your time, and things of that nature, and continue to reach forward while continuing to look back and also helping pull each other up. I think it's so rewarding to not be forgotten. And I'm sure maybe at some darker moments you might not have ever thought that things could literally come such full circle.